By the way, I can't wait. Well,
Can't wait one.
Clint, Nick, David, welcome in to Talk or Go Home. We've got two special guests on today, and I'm really excited, to be honest with you, about both of them because I have a feeling the stories that are about to be exchanged are going to be legendary, and I'm really excited for that. But I'm going to let
now you know one of the last times that we had two guests on. One of the most iconic times was the All Fogged Up episode.
All Fogged Up. Do you think this is going to match All Fogged Up?
I have high expectations.
I have high expectations too, just based off of the preliminary discussions that we've had. This is going to be a great episode. But I'm going to let David. I'm going to let you do the introductions because you know these gentlemen way better than I do.
Well, we got the one-man gang, Vaughn Lee right here, and Cap Mepps, Kim Bledsoe over here. And Vaughn, he kind of reached out to me on Facebook. I think he saw where we'd put an episode on Facebook or something. He wanted to know if he could call in. I told him, well, you just need to come on. So we finally got it worked out where he could come on.
Yeah.
Now, have you gentlemen ever done anything like this before? I mean, obviously, maybe some interviews, TV, yada, yada, yada.
Absolutely never.
Okay.
This is my first podcast, and Friday was my first experience with karaoke.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
A little behind the times, but that's okay.
Well, it was, we have a new principal there at Springville Middle School, and he's a go-getter and everything, and so he had everybody doing karaoke there after everything had been done, all the envelope stuff with the grades and report cards going out, and so I hid away as best I could.
You couldn't escape though.
Well, I couldn't, and I thought they had forgotten about me. I was in the gym cleaning up and everything, and then they sent for me, and so I had to do it. And,
your song of choice was
Rapper's Delight.
I did not expect that.
Well, and
I was thinking Margaritaville or something. That's what I'm sitting there thinking.
I did not expect Rapper's Delight.
Rapper's Delight, and of course, the song came out about 1980 and everything, and I was about 19 years old when it happened, and so the original version, was on the LP album. It lasts almost 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And so, so this is before the days of being able to look up on the internet,
sure,
get lyrics and stuff like that. And of course, so I actually listened to this back just over and over and over, and hand wrote the lyrics to this 15-minute song, and it took me about 5 hours.
Old school.
To get it done.
Scratch the record a little bit, let it play.
Exactly.
He said this.
Absolutely. And so, and then after, of course, you spend that much time into it, that you invest that, you have to learn it.
Right.
And so at one time I could do it, the whole.
So would you say that's kind of on your list of songs that you know, and you pretty much know every word, you'll almost never forget them?
Almost.
Yeah.
Now, when the thing was rolling up there, the karaoke and everything, and I had no idea that, I was actually singing.
Right.
It was like the music, and then the words come up there, and they had to restart it for me and stuff like that. So anyway.
The words are right there.
they were on the TV and stuff, and so I was following along, and then I decided, I said, I'm just going to go without it. So and all of a sudden I caught myself, and I messed up.
Yeah.
So, but the best thing about it, and I asked them, I said, now we're going to do the long version or the short version. They said, you can stop whenever you want to, which is a good thing. Gets back to the Coach Hawk thing. I was wearing Rapper's Delight. I was wearing it out, and I had to say, so hang on. All right, you got 5 minutes. We're gonna get back after it. Give me about 5 minutes. And so
time out.
Yes. And so, and of course in Rapper's Delight there's 3 dudes doing it.
Right.
You got Wonder Mike, you got Big Bang Hank, and you got Master G. And so
He named them all.
He did.
And so, when Wonder Mike opens up, the other guys is resting up, and then he hands it off to Big Bang Hank. So Wonder Mike catches breath.
They got a rotation going. That's what you're saying.
And
You didn't have that.
And so Master G jumps in there, and I'm doing all 3 of them, and it was like,
What a tag out! You did the work of 3 men.
I did.
Good job.
And so anyway, so it was a great experience and everything, and I enjoyed it, but not as much as I'm gonna enjoy this.
Gosh, that's great.
Hey, that's a good idea. I thought you was going to tell us you went to Velma's. The new Velma's. Karaoke and trust me.
Oh, no. I heard they go open that
Yeah,
place up again.
yeah. I thought you had opened it up.
Oh, no.
Grand opening.
Ken Bledsoe, the headliner, the first night back, ladies and gentlemen.
Well,
Oh man.
yeah.
Look, so just some podcast pointers. Just make sure you stay near the mic. All right, make sure you stay near the mic. And look, this is just a conversation. We're just gonna have fun. Just yeah. And if somebody says something stupid, just ignore it because most likely Clint will.
Yeah, it's probably me.
He usually does.
It's probably me.
But I've got this question, and when David had the idea to do this episode and bring you guys on, I immediately thought, okay, tell us a David Murphree story that you couldn't usually tell in front of people, but go ahead and just tell it and just embarrass him if you want to, because I know they both look at each other.
I think David's hyperventilating over there.
Oh man,
Go ahead and take them heart pills.
just please.
The thing that's the thing. I tried to think of a few stories like that to kind of get on the edge of to make you nervous, and Murph's Murph. I mean, if he does it, he's not something he's embarrassed about. It's probably part of his dry humor.
Right.
Yeah.
He's in control of all that.
How long have y'all known him?
1994.
Well, I was thinking, it goes back to Pleasant Valley days
Yeah.
for y'all.
Yeah.
And I remember you at Pleasant Valley.
Right.
But how many jobs did you have before you got to Pleasant Valley? Before there.
Before Pleasant Valley?
Yeah.
Let's see. There was way up Smith Station. Went to Warner Robins. Baldwin County. That was my 5th job.
Fifth. Was that your first job, Pleasant
Yeah.
Valley? So that's where y'all were together
Yeah,
first time.
yeah.
This was my mentor. Taught
Okay.
me all about crowd control. If I'm putting on a baseball camp somewhere and there's 100 kids and I'm trying to figure out what to do next, I just follow WWBD. What would Bledsoe do? And this guy, you can see him in a PE class. He'll take control. He can take a crowd and have them all moving and all having fun in 5 minutes. I mean, and nobody's still. Everybody's happy. Everybody's having fun. He's the crowd control guru. So I got a doctorate in crowd control my first job.
He got a little bit too crunk at Trussville, though, when y'all was going to play Vestavia that time, didn't he?
Well, it was actually Hoover.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that was
Country boys, wasn't it?
the country. Yeah, the country boy speech. Yeah, we was look. I'm gonna tell you, and of all the people that I've worked with, that we've worked with together and been around, I don't know if there's ever been a greater job of coaching football than was done back at Hewitt Trussville Junior High in the 95 season? 96 season. And so set the stage for you. I'd been there year previous and everything, and left Eufaula, gone to Hewitt Trussville and was there at the middle school. And Vaughn had stayed at Eufaula, Coach Probst and the crew down there. And so this was the last year before Hewitt and Clay split.
Mm-hmm.
And so we had in our 7th grade class like 700 people, 700 kids in that class.
Golly bum.
And so the next year, the split happens.
Hmm.
All right, and so the best thing, the smartest thing I've ever done, like twice, is to convince Rush Probst to hire Vaughn Lee, and then Jack Wood to hire Vaughn Lee.
Oh, Jack.
And
yeah,
so,
Coach Wood.
Yeah, absolutely, because it's the one man game. I mean, you put a task in front of him, and it makes no difference what it is. It gets done and everything. We'll get back to that in a second, but the greatest football ever. So here we are, and so imagine that this is your schedule that you're playing. Okay, Hoover, Mountain Brook, Vestavia, Homewood, Thompson, Oak Mountain, Pelican. So that's what you're looking at. And so imagine going into that with all your bullets. But now half your school is gone.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Yeah.
And traditionally the best athletes there at Hewitt had come from the Clay and Chalkville side. So these guys are just gone. All right, so all those kids are gone, and of course most of the coaches go too.
Mm-hmm.
I had an opportunity to go over there myself, and Coach Wood explained to me in no uncertain terms how it would be in my best interest to stay at Hewitt. So I stayed at Hewitt.
Who went over there? Was it Tony Pugh
Tony
that took it
Pugh,
over?
He did, and then
Story.
Ken Story.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, several. Robertson.
Baseball guy.
Yeah. You had
Meacham.
not Tim State, Meacham State. He went to the high school. So the whole staff just breaks up, and so we're left with like 6 coaches. 6. All right, and so it's me, and I went from being an assistant 7th grade football coach to being in charge of the program. A 7th grade team, 8th grade team, 9th grade team, and so Vaughn comes in, and if we get him hired, and so we're talking about this, and so how are we going to manage, with 6 coaches, and one I don't think had ever seen a football.
Wow.
It wasn't Mark McCrory, was it?
It was not Mark McCrory.
That was year 4.
That was back at U5.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And him doing a little special team pump block stuff was
I actually have that written down.
I mean it is we'll get that. So I'm sitting here with Vaughn, and we're trying to figure out what to do. And so one solution was that both of us coached the freshmen.
Mm-hmm.
And we felt like that'd be we could manage that all right. And then we had a couple of other guys. We had 4 other guys, and so how are we going to put them doing an 8th grade team and then a 7th grade team, and those 2 guys are coaching it, and they're playing the guys I just mentioned. That kind of schedule. And so it's like, well, it's going to be a disaster. So Vaughn, as usual, he comes up with a solution. He said, why don't we split it up to where each one of us is coaching a group on one side of the ball? So Vaughn did the running backs and the quarterbacks. I did the offensive line. We had another guy did linebackers, did defensive line and things like that. Secondary, and then we had the guy that they'd never seen a football before because we was running the wing tee.
Mm-hmm.
He coached the.
I'm gonna say the receivers.
He coached.
Put him on the receivers.
He coached the split end.
Yeah, the split in.
The
Hey,
split
look,
in.
I've been a split ends
Singular.
coach on a wing tee football team. I know. Go
Absolutely.
block, skinny boy.
So
And Lee Guest was one of those split ends that played at Auburn.
Well, yeah, look, I got. We're gonna talk about Lee Guest here in a second. So that right there. So I said that's got to be the solution. So I take it to Coach Wood, and he signed off on everything, and so that's what we did. And so each practice we had a period to where we were rotating people around,
Mm-hmm.
and so I coached all the offensive linemen from all 3 levels, and of course, Coach here did the quarterbacks.
It's pretty smart.
And
I mean,
running
it's
backs,
good.
and so we go and we take that approach into this schedule. So we're doing that with half the players against, Murderer's Row schedule.
Yeah.
The toughest probably in the state. So to make a long story long, this is how it turned out. Our 8th grade team went 2-6, played 8-game schedule, went 2-6. Now their quarterback had to be moved up to play with the freshmen. That was Lance Walker. He's the AD now at the Trussville school system.
Mm-hmm.
So he was an 8th grader and played with the freshman team. All right, the freshman team went 5-3, and the 7th grade team, all right, they went 8-0, and won it was our first year in the Over the Mountain League. They go 8-0, and it was a tremendous situation job out there. So let's do some math here, Coach. So we played 24 games. 8, 2 is 10, in fact 15. Didn't lose 1, lost 6, and 3, 9. 15-9. So we go 15-9, and of course we play in 3 games. Every time we play, so we're playing back to back to back, like that.
Calling 3 games.
I was
in
gonna
one
say
night
that's gotta be 6 hours of just
Exactly. And
I'd be so
playing,
tired.
and playing
I would
against
too.
these things. All right, so we're playing in the 7th grade game, and I have no idea what we're doing. I do know this: we had a kid named Jamie Kelly, was a fullback, and he scored on 6 of the first 8 plays of the game when he touched the ball. He took it to the house. Okay, and we ran, I think, 31 trap.
Trap. I was going to say trap.
31 trap. Boom,
what
he
I'm
took
talking
it.
about.
And the other 2 times he got tackled like inside the 10. Yeah. So, we're going along and everything. And so we got Jamie Kelly. I mean, this guy is he's the MVP of the league. And so we also notice we got this little quarterback. Okay, left-handed quarterback who's out there. And when we do throw the ball, he's just like throwing dimes, just dropping dimes. I mean, it's just beautiful and everything. Of course, it was Brandon Cox was the quarterback,
okay.
3-year
There you
starter at
go.
Auburn
Yeah.
and everything. And so once we figure out that we got Brandon Cox back there, we start throwing the ball a little bit. And so, of course, him being left-handed and everything, the best play was like the boot, the waggle, going to the left. So, of course, he does his fakes and carries that out. He's rolling. And, of course, you got the underneath guy, the middle guy, and the deep guy. Of course, he's just throwing deep. He's just throwing deep. And so we're sitting there, and he runs it, and he hits a guy right in the head. Can't catch it. Hits a guy in the guy gets one stuck in his face mask and stuff. I mean, it's like
Little giants out there.
yeah, exactly. So after about 3 times where a kid drops a touchdown, drops a touchdown, I look down here. And of course, I remember it. I didn't know who these receivers were because I never saw it. I mean, their job, because see, the thing is, with the 7th grade game, see, Vaughn here, he had to babysit the freshmen. That was his job. So I got to call the 7th grade game. 8-0. I called that.
It's all Bledsoe.
I called it. So I look over there, and of course we got like 20 dudes about this tall, and you just and you run plays in, 31 trap. 31 trap. So
Buck.
and so then
Yeah.
look over there, and then we start throwing the ball a little bit. So no touchdowns dropped. And so I look down that line of receivers, and I make this statement. I said, do we have anybody on this football team that can catch a football? Is anybody on the team can catch a football? And this little fella, about 4 back in the line, he raised his hand like this, just like this. He said, Coach, I can catch it. And I looked at him and I said, well, get in the game. And that was Lee Guess.
That was league.
That was Lee Guess,
Here we go.
All-State,
3-year
favorite
starter at
receiver.
Auburn.
And both of them teamed up there at Auburn. So that right there is just like
I can catch the ball,
I mean,
Coach.
I can.
exactly. And so the thing about it is, whether you're coaching your team or you're in your classroom or wherever you are, you don't know who is sitting right there in your midst that's ready to break out like that. So
We had one of those kids like that a couple of years ago who just absolutely he refused to play football. And finally his senior year, I don't know what we did, we got him out, and he ended up we had him at tight end, but when he discovered how to play defensive end, that kid and it was I hate it because he only had like 3 games left. No joke, we were deep into the season. It was you actually have a shirt. He put one of this
just
guy's
say his name.
Yeah, but you put
Initials, JJM.
yeah. You put his creed on your shirt, by the way. His version of the Asheville Creed on the back of one of your shirts.
Yeah, his version.
And you just hate it, man, because like that kid didn't figure it out until week 7.
right.
And he came alive for us, man. You talk about pressure. There ain't no telling how many pressures he had in the 3 weeks he started at the end for us. But you're right. I mean, you never know who you got. You don't know.
Yeah, I never did come to one of those junior high games, but I did come watch Trustful play Gardendale when y'all was over there when Standridge was the quarterback.
I didn't ever come support y'all, but good job.
Jason Standridge.
Yeah, that was a Saturday game, and I think we had to move to Saturday because of bad weather or something. Maybe
It must have been why I made it.
Semifinals.
Now I think about it.
Semifinal team that got beat by
Mount Brook.
Malin Kent.
Malin Kent
was the quarterback.
Yeah, ended up playing baseball at Auburn.
And they beat us in the semifinals. We were leading the whole game. Gonna get to go to Birmingham. Had about a 10-point lead with about 5 minutes to go and got beat.
Yep.
And that was
He broke one, ran it for. He took it about 80 yards right
was
there
good.
to
He was
turn
good.
the game.
I've got a David Murphy story.
Please.
It's not one of those. I mean, it's not going to embarrass him or anything. He actually was probably waiting on me to tell the story. You know, we were roommates, and I just got to Eufaula, and all these guys from Asheville were together. They'd been together. Brownlee and Murphy were the original roommates that I had there at the lake house at Eufaula. And
105 Lakeview Drive.
105 Lakeview Drive was, in 1968, that house was voted the house of the year for the Better Homes and Gardens. And then this poor lady left.
We trashed it.
Then she left and moved to Atlanta, and it was open for years. And so one of us ended up calling her and said, hey, can you rent the house out to us? She said, $800 a month, you can have it. So that was one of the best things that ever happened, because that was the hangout at Eufaula, you know.
Yeah, we were right there on the point with all the wealthiest people. And didn't the guy that owns the Hummingbird Company, wasn't he our neighbor?
No, he owned that house.
Oh, okay.
Because down in the basement was all the Hummingbird
Fish finders.
Yeah, fish finders
Yeah.
he was inventing.
I must be thinking about the Missile Hughes guy there. I think he was our neighbor.
You know, I'm there early in the summer, and Russ is like, all right, we need to get the practice field lined off.
Yeah.
And so we're all getting up, and I think Bledsoe had gone back home. And Brownlee might have rode over with me, but he's going to get in the shade as quick, he's going to get inside as quick as possible. And I think it was Jamie Dubose, me and you was going to go line the field off, and everybody else went running, because in Eufaula at about 12 o'clock and 1 o'clock in the afternoon, the mosquitoes are terrible. It's going to be about 105 degrees, and it's going to be a miserable day, you know. So we drag up there, and Murphy was the first one to get there, and his car was sitting there. And we parked and got everything out, got the lines and the paint out of the truck, you know, and we start heading toward the practice field. And Jamie says, well, "Where's Murphy? He beat us here. Where's he at?" And I was like, "I don't know. He'll show it in a minute." So we go and we start getting the lines out and pulling lines and stuff. And I keep feeling like, you know, you get a feeling when somebody's watching you. Somebody's watching me. Somebody's got eyes on me now, and I don't really know. I don't have a clue, you know, what's going on, but I got this weird feeling. And then I glance up, and we have a film tower, and Murphy had a Bear Bryant houndstooth hat in his room. I look up on the tower, and there's Murphy leaning over the rail with his houndstooth hat on, and he's kind of giving some animated, you know, things with his arms, you know, and pointing and he'd holler, hey, he said, tell Jim Bob if he can't tackle, he needs to come see me or something like that, you know. And he's just up there just putting on a show, and I'm looking around this, and, you know, it's hotter than it can be. You know, I'm ready to get out of here. Look, and Murphy is pulling the best Bear Bryant impersonation you could ever. So we just, you know, played along with it for a while. But I knew then I'd like this guy. You know, he was a lot of fun to be around.
Just a bunch of
I don't remember that, but I can see me doing that.
I don't remember that. That sounds like me.
Just let me ask you if you remember us going to Dothan the night before the Alabama-Auburn game.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't know if I need to bring up that we were in the driver's ed car.
No.
Statute of limitations is passed. You're
In
good.
his van. He was in his van. And, that was a pretty interesting night. I think there might have been some bottles broke on the road or something.
I remember, you know, after football season was over, I find out, you know, we're at the middle school teaching PE, and their basketball coach was going to be David Murphy. And he had some talented dudes. I mean, he really had a lot of talent coming in. So I wanted to go watch the game, but we were doing something, maybe football. I don't remember what it was. And he was coaching his first middle school basketball game. And they got in, and he come in late at night, and I said, who are y'all playing? He said, we smoked them. I said, well, who were you playing? He said, the Comer King Kongs. and I'm like, where? Because my family's from down there in that area, and I'd heard of all the schools before. And so he said it again. Murphy can talk fast.
Yeah.
And so I said,
Hey, how you doing?
Y'all played Opelika? No, I played the Comer King Kongs. And so I said, well, maybe if you tell me about this, I can understand where y'all went. So Murphy said, well, in Barber County, there was this little junior high school called Comer. And when you walk in, the gym is a little bigger than the lunchroom. And on one end, they had a big mural of King Kong. and that was their mascot, the Comer King Kongs.
Are you serious?
So his first victory was against the Comer King Kongs.
You know how we won that game, don't you? Run that Alexandria fast break you taught me. That's all I knew about basketball. That's what I showed you
Larry
the other day in
Ginn?
the gym. Yeah,
Larry Ginn's.
fast
Run down
break.
the sideline break.
Yeah. Yeah, you had those kin folks down in Eufaula. Remember
Yeah.
when they come up and helped us clean up the lake down there? And we
105
pulling all that stuff. Yeah, we pulling all that
Lakeview
stuff up the
Drive.
hill, those 4-wheelers,
Yeah,
and marking
yeah.
them at the top.
I'm sorry,
When
but
they stall
105 Lakeview Drive sounds like a country song where there's a lot of,
Yeah, trust me, it is a good Or it was.
you know, I mean, man.
You know, the next year, David came back with John to Asheville. We had a new crew come in, and it was quite a crew, but it was nothing like the experience we had. I was there 2 years, and that first year was pretty comical.
Now, when I left, you had 2 more people move in.
Mm-hmm.
Bull, he made him a room out of the
Yeah,
dining room.
yeah.
And who else coming there?
Dubose.
Okay,
Yeah,
Dubose.
he'd already
okay.
been there.
Yeah. Then he ended up at Asheville
Yeah.
after that with us.
Well, you know, there was a lot of future rock stars on that staff the 2 years I was there. If you start looking, of course, there was Rush, you know, Paul Curtis, who went on to be the basketball coach at Enterprise.
Yes.
Jamie Dubose, who's won a few rings at Prattville and went on to
Central Phoenix City.
Central Phoenix City and won a few there, and then went to Lowndes and did a good job there at the year or two he was down at Lowndes in Georgia. And then now he's the head football coach at Orange Beach. Let's see. Robert Jeter. Jeter was the defense coordinator at Auburn.
John Gross.
Yeah. The pony himself. I'm in Asheville. How to forget John Gross?
Gilligan.
Maybe about lost it when they called him
Junior.
Junior. We had, remember we wrote up on the board all his nicknames. And we had this thing. That was
You know,
hilarious.
Paul Curtis was he from Mississippi?
Mississippi.
Okay,
He's
and you
from
could
Mississippi.
tell that his parents had locked him in the room from the time he was about 3 to the time he was about 15, and just played Jerry Clower just around the clock, because he could tell a story just like Jerry Clower. So you mix in a little Jerry Clower. Well, he was very educated, you know, and so he was almost like a Mark Twain, you know, because he could really tell a story. And then, you know, Rick Pitino. You take all those 3 and mix them in, and that was Paul Curtis. He was a lot of fun. Yeah.
Jerry
Yeah,
Clower
you're right.
and Rick Pitino.
Hey, I got a Curtis one for you. Talking about being able to come up with stuff like that. So this was, I guess, starting year 2 in the summer and everything. And so a kid from Abbeville comes up. All right, and his daddy brings him and everything. And this dude's about 6'7". And just imagine like Jethro Bodine at about 6'7". So he comes up and of course now Abbeville's a basketball school,
Yeah.
you know, and so they're you know, his daddy wanted to be a football player, you know, have a good football pro, so he's gonna bring him up to Eufaula. So first day he gets there and he goes through the stuff, everything, you know, is being done there, and then the next day he ain't there, and so you know, Coach Pros, he instructs somebody to call him up, and his dad gets his daddy on the phone and says, yeah, we'll be up there directly. So had something got, you know, delayed us, so we'll be up there. And so he did make it for part of it. And so then day 3 comes around and he doesn't show. And so we try to call Dad, and nobody answers. And so everybody's talking about, well, what's happened to this guy like that? So Paul Curtis, he said, you know, that feller was sent for, couldn't come. Got there, wouldn't do. And so sent for, couldn't come. Got there, wouldn't do. He had a million of them things.
That's the Mark Twain in him.
That's
Yeah.
awesome,
That
man.
is awesome.
Yeah.
That is awesome.
You know,
It's like direct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But in
And
a poetic sort
Yeah.
of kind of, you know,
Yeah.
like a rhythmic kind of a way. Look, I love me some Jerry Clower, man. So I feel like
you'd
I'd
love
like
Paul Curtis.
And don't forget about Errol Jones with his Tonka toy Jeep Cherokee.
Wasn't
And
his
then-
wife the home ec teacher here one time?
Not Raglan.
She was a Raglan.
Raglan,
Okay,
yeah.
I knew she was close by.
And Smitty, don't forget about Smitty. Now,
Oh,
he,
yeah.
he
Michael
won those
Smith.
2. Yeah, he played the receiver at Alabama. And how many state championships he won in a row? Was it 3 with girls?
At least. at least.
You follow varsity girls?
Won one with the boys, maybe two with the boys.
No,
Basket.
he never won one with the boys. They made the championship game.
They got the championship game.
Yeah,
That's
got
right.
beat
That's
in the
right.
championship
That's
game.
right.
But yeah, Smitty had, and matter of fact, he's the boys' coach now. If you follow.
Yeah.
So-
Aaron Milner was another guy that was there. He's the superintendent of Saraland City Schools. Been the superintendent there for a long time. He was kind of the guy that followed us along there. Aaron was there the first year, wasn't he?
Milner. No.
Okay.
You went from Pleasant Valley in what year? You went in 93?
93.
And then I went in 90. I mean, you got there in 94. Fall 94. And then I left. I stayed 1 year and then left, come back with Ross. And then y'all left and went to Trussville. You left for Vaughn did.
Yeah, I stayed
went to Trussville.
one more year, and I loved Eufaula. Man, it was a beautiful town. There was a lot of athletes there. The school system was strong. I would have stayed longer, but the new crew that Rush brought in, a lot of them, he couldn't turn his back on, and I could kind of see what's the word I'm looking for?
Writing on the wall.
Yeah, well, I'm thinking more like
Julius Caesar.
Julius
Brutus,
Caesar.
Brutus.
Yeah. I was seeing that come along, and I was like, I told him, I said, I got to go because I can't be a part of this. And he's like, I don't think you. Then a year later, he called me back and said, it's exactly what you said.
Well,
Exactly what
and
you said.
we mentioned that right there. With basketball, we had gone to the region finals, lost to Andalusia by 3, and Paul Curtis gets the opportunity to go and be the basketball coach at Enterprise. He'd been at Enterprise previous to Eufaula, and so they asked him to come back, and he did. And so Rush, he offered me the basketball job at Eufaula, and of course I accepted it immediately. And so we were. It was everything was in place because we had gone to the regions. Had really easily could have been in Birmingham, and then I had been the JV coach and had coached all the guys coming up, and we had a tremendous group coming from the middle school, and so everything was in line. It was, and of course Eufaula is one of the best basketball, programs in the state. Great tradition, is won several state championships, boys and girls, and so we had one issue, and that was. And Vaughn mentioned something about me lining off the field that I'd gone home. Well, see, when I left Pleasant Valley, my wife, Lisa, she stayed in Gadsden because she's had one more semester to
I think you told me that, right?
one more semester to finish, and she'd been following me around and everything, having to go to school at night and things like that, and so she had one semester to go. Whenever I got the opportunity to leave Pleasant Valley and go down to Eufaula. So we decided that she would stay and that she would, she'd finish school. So, in the meantime, go down for that first year, the year that Vaughn wasn't there. So come back for the second year, and so things really start to happen. Everything, she graduates, passes a CPA exam, gets pregnant, with our son and everything, and so now things are really, a lot of great things are about to happen, and now I get the opportunity to be the basketball coach at Eufaula. So when she finishes, we try to find her a job in Eufaula, and we really can't find one for her. That she had an opportunity to work for a CPA firm there in town and everything, but she was going to be making less money doing that than she was working there in Gadsden at the Housing Authority without a degree. And so I just couldn't see putting her in that position. But like I said, because she had followed me around several jobs and everything, and so so we just she had a job offer in Birmingham, and so I had to leave the just unbelievable opportunity, to be the basketball coach at Eufaula. So, she got a job in Birmingham. She became the breadwinner. And so that's how I got to Hewitt Trussville. And so I go from being the head basketball coach at Eufaula to a 7th grade football assistant at Hewitt Trussville. And so that, and of course, you know, the reason I was able to get that was because Coach Wood and Coach Probst had a good relationship, and so Coach Probst said, "I got a coach moving to Birmingham. Can you help him out, see if you can find anything?" So
Coach Wood, and by the way, I have a lot of respect for Coach Wood. Every time I've ever talked to him, he's been a great, humble, just salt to the earth guy.
Yeah, absolutely. So when we were sitting, we was there, you know, at Admiral Moore Middle School and everything. You know, me and Vaughn there doing the PE, and so one day there in 8th grade, kid by the name of Shahi Ware. Okay, so Shahi. Yusuf Ware's little brother. So we had Yusuf and Shahi. So Shahi had the ball in the right corner. And so he rears it up, getting ready to shoot it and everything, and he shoots one, and I said, "That's the ugliest looking shot." I mean, my God, what is that? And so it wasn't a shot. It was he was alley-ooping the ball. And so the ball goes over to the other side, and coming from the other side is a kid by the name of Isaac Page, a.k.a. Rock. You remember Rock, right, Coach?
Yeah,
now, Rock he was about 5'8", every bit of 5'8", 5'9". He leaps up in the air and cuffs that ball and dunks it, coming from the other side. And I had just been given the basketball job at Vaughn. And I had been the JV coach and everything, and you know, like I said, everything was going really well at high school. And so I said right then, that's my starting point guard. He'll be my starting point guard as a freshman at Eufaula High School. So fast forward to 1999. State championship game, Eufaula High School, and Shahi Ware. And Isaac Rock Page versus Phillips High School out of Birmingham. The last year Phillips was open. And so
Phillips, that's a random fact. That's where David Cutcliffe graduated high school, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's the bunch I had in 8th grade.
Yeah.
Basketball.
it is.
Yeah.
That was your group.
Yeah.
That was your Shahi and Rock and
Look what you did.
exactly. I mean, look here. Hey, Alexandria sideline break. Courtesy of Vaughn Lee.
Hey, you know what got me?
What's that?
Purple Heart game.
Oh. Hey.
What got us? Go ahead.
Oh, so we get there and everything, and so I've tried to make a point of being at the state tournament every year. I usually take the whole week off and go boys and girls games and everything, and so I'm there. This is '99 there at the BJCC, and there is Eufaula versus Phillips, and so there's the team that
Should have been yours.
would have been my team, and so Isaac Page scores 30 in the championship game, and he is MVP of the tournament.
Hey, no joke. You're in PE at Eufaula. It was like a slam dunk competition every day.
Unless
just regular PE.
Until-
you couldn't do nothing about it. You couldn't stop it.
until Captain Epps broke out the hockey set that we'd put out on the tennis court. And then we'd have coaches come from the high school to come watch PE at the middle school, because when we played field hockey on the tennis court, it was family entertainment, baby. You know, they were people from all around wanting to see that.
He knows.
It was fun.
Okay, I got a question. Can you tell on this podcast why you call him that?
He was I can. Well, he was in the Air Force, right?
Right.
He was in the Air Force. That's where the captain comes from. But then there's a Beverly Hillbillies episode.
Yeah. Great show.
Where Jed, he thinks he needs to send Jethro and Ellie Mae to school. So he finds a school to send them to. And but what he don't know is it's a bunch of hippies. And he sent them to like school.
Yeah.
They're not learning arithmetic or anything. They're learning how to be a hippie. But they got this one hippie that while they're down there in the cellar just dancing around and doing hippie stuff, they got this one guy that every now and then he'll just raise up and he'll say something prophetic.
Yeah.
And then everybody will say, "All right, Epps is up. Y'all be quiet. Let's see what he got to say." He'll raise up. And then when he lays back down, they just go back to partying again. but he would just raise up and say something. and you better listen because it's going to be prophetic.
You're right.
So that's
So
where the Epps comes
Captain
from.
Epps?
Yeah, Captain Epps.
Cap-
The thing
Epps.
was at the coaches meeting. I mean, imagine the folks. You know, we have described at these coaching meetings.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I couldn't get a word in edgewise. And so, I mean, you got Russ Probst and John Gross and Paul Curtis and Jeter Jones and Smitty and Vaughn Lee and you know David Murphree and Jamie Dubose and
That leads to the Waffle House meetings. We'd have the debriefing after the coaches meetings. You know, a lot of them would go home, and we were single, living bachelor life here. You know,
Well,
Lisa being back home, and
make sure you clarify.
yeah, we were joking. That, you know, we always like, what do we do? You know, we're not going to go out. We're in Eufaula, you know. So after the meetings, Rush, you know, he can't go home. He had to just keep going. So we'd always go to Waffle House, and it was usually, I think Paul would show up, and you'd be there, and us four would go to the Waffle House. You've probably been to a lot of Waffle House meetings, and we'd just sit around and talk about the program, you know, just the athletic program at Eufaula. And when Captain Epps spoke, Russ is usually writing things down. You know, and he would always say that this is one of the most intelligent folks I've ever been around. You know, and when we was at the Waffle House meetings, whenever Captain Epps spoke, everybody shut up and listened to what he had to say. Now,
That was when he rose up.
do you remember the Sansa belts?
Yeah, let's do this. Let's do this
Oh,
list. Let's do this whole
Okay,
list.
all right.
Now this is you follow. This is your list you sent me. You already done some of it.
Yeah,
All right, Sansa
yeah.
belts, go.
Well,
Wool gray Sansa belt pants.
yeah, you remember my first, you know, we get there and in Eufaula is hot. It's hot, and you know, and our first game's in Dothan, you know, so it's even hotter in Dothan. Well, Russ calls a big meeting with all of us, says, look, I want everybody in gray Sansa belt pants. And I've got them all at some pants store in Dothan, and everybody's got to go get sized up and fitted for them. And I'm like, Sansa belt? I've never heard of Sansa belt. Come to find out, we did a little research, and, you know, Curtis used to say Rush is usually Rush would, whoever the last coach he spoke to was usually the smartest coach he ever talked to, you know.
That's
Or the
right.
smartest coach he ever talked to was the last coach he talked
Smartest coach in America was the one that Rush just got off the phone with.
to. So the Sansa belts came from Jackie Sherrill. He would wear them at Mississippi State. And he would be on the sideline, and I guess Rush had just talked to Jackie Sherrill had talked to him, I guess, and he had been to a clinic or something. But all of a sudden, he calls a meeting, and everybody's got to go get Sansa belts. And they were woolish, and they were gray, and that's the most miserable pair of pants I think I've ever worn. And I think as soon as that season's over with, I threw mine in the dump because that was some miserable days.
Yeah, I
those
think that's
Sansa
what that
belts.
picture is in there. Those gray Sansa belts.
Oh,
No, what do no Jackie Sherrill? Well, I'm not gonna say about what he taught Rush to do about castrating that thing. But anyway,
All right.
college game days at the castle.
you know, that was kind of your creation. You know, we Saturday morning you'd go over to the field house and get the projector and hook it up to the TV, and we'd get one of those. You know, we lived in a mansion, so up on the fireplace we'd put a sheet, and we'd get the ball games going there, and then people from all over town, a lot of coaches
Yeah,
and teachers.
we had a
and,
big crowd.
Yeah, we'd have ball games there every Saturday from about 11 to midnight.
Had that
you know,
deck
people-
overlooking the
Yeah.
river, the
and
lake.
with a hooked up bathtub.
Yeah,
out there.
hooked up claw foot
Yep,
tub.
Yep. So that was game days. That was
Yeah.
always fun. Bowl season was fun there.
All right, what about that baseball ride to Opelika? Now when we coached that summer team, was that before the '94 season? It had been before.
It was 95.
It was That's before I come back to Asheville.
yeah,
that
right
summer.
before you came.
Okay, because I had you do that baseball, coach first base. Yeah, we'd
We,
ride to them games
Yeah.
in the red Nissan, listen to the Bellevue brothers.
Yeah, that's
They
it.
were games,
That's
right?
it. That was kind of a
Specifics.
summer league ball that we would coach our kids in the summer. But we were playing Opelika the second year. I think you were already gone. And I'd go to the bus shop. I drove the bus, so because I got out of school before Jamie did, and I'd go to the bus shop, and there sits a 1971 3-speed in the floor. could see through this floorboard bus that we had to take to Opelika. And they had some nice buses at Eufaula, but we didn't get one, you know. And do you remember the old black guy that was the bus deputy there? You know, he was a real nice guy.
That turkey smoke.
Yeah, that's. You know, and he had that bus sitting out there, and I kind of looked at him. I was like, "We're gonna be gone all night now. We'll get home about midnight." He said, "I can't pull no good buses off for today. You got to drive that."
There's 2 guys over there run the whole bus shop.
So I pull the bus up. Everybody gets on. There's a few seats missing. You can see through the floorboard at points, you know. And it was. I'm sure when they did safety inspections, they hid that bus for that day, you know. So we're all in and we're rolling through. Headed up to Opelika, somewhere in that Smith Station area there, and we're rolling, and Rush keeps on. He's like, we got to get there. And, you know, we were going to be fine for the game time, but he wanted to go see Spence McCracken and go talk to him for about an hour and then show up about third inning, you know, to the ball game. And so I'm trying to hurry up to get Rush to Spence and get us to the baseball game. And I come over a hill, and there sit about a 1972 Olds Classic. It was a Delta Classic or something. It was sitting there, and it's trying to take a left, and it didn't have brake lights. And so I'm coming and I'm rolling in this old bus, and so I hit the brakes, and I was like, man, I ain't gonna make it. So I pulled the air brakes, and we start just we're just, and I hear Rush and Jamie in the back just saying every cuss word there is. And the kids are just yelling and screaming. They're all in the floor, and I'm hanging on there and hanging out. I was going to ditch it at the last second because the ditch wasn't too deep on the right side. And at the last second, the car turned. And this is just in the straight run there on our way to Opelika. And so I just stopped for a minute, and I looked up. And Russ is laying in the floor. And Dubos is laying on top of him. And nobody would talk. The kids just sit there. Nobody could say anything. So I eased on along there, and one of the players on the bus was Dr. Parker's son, Jim. So we went on, played ball there, and came back. And then the next day we're supposed to go to Dothan. So I go down to the bus shop and get a bus. There's a brand new brand new bus sitting there. And old buddy was sitting there, and he was mad. He said, I don't like being called in on the carpet. And I said, well, I didn't say nothing. He said, well, I got in all kind of trouble. I said, you shouldn't put us on that bus going that far away from home that late at night.
Was it the superintendent's boy?
Yeah.
Yeah, you shouldn't put the superintendent's boy on a bus.
How long had he been a superintendent? How many years?
I'd
Shoot, 30?
30 years.
He was my dad's college roommate. So he'd been there a while. I know.
So you hit the air brakes, huh?
Yeah.
That's that bus shop that was away from the school that Rush sent me over there before a ninth grade game. I was supposed to take a ninth grade team to. He sent me over there. He said, because y'all were practicing, varsity was practicing. He said, all right, go over and get a bus and bring it back over here, and then go over and get the van and bring it back. I said, yes, sir. I got thinking, how am I going to do that? 5 miles away. I figured it out, though. What about, all right, Propst? Okay, you just did it. You know, you got to figure it out. Propst baseball pants delivery. What's that about?
Well,
Oh, yeah.
that was, he was flying around the state at the time, in a jet, trying to find us a field house. He was going to build us a field house, a new stadium and everything. And so we had a baseball game, a region game at Valley. And, he called and told us, he said, I'm not going to make it in time to get to Eufaula to ride with y'all. I'm going to get the plane to land there in Valley, and I'm going to get a ride over to the baseball field. I need y'all to bring me some pants. So I think I was at the middle school that year. And so I called the high school, and Curtis answered. And I said, Curtis, Russ needs a pair of baseball pants. Can you bring them to me? He said, sure. So he waits to the last second, and I'm trying to run to the bus shop. He pulls in and hands me a pair of pants, and I threw them in my bag. And we get to the ball game, and Russ pulls up, and he runs over and says, you got our pants? And I pulled them out. They were a size 32 medium baseball pants for him to put on. So he goes and tries to put them on, and he can't get them over his knees. So he comes back out. There was a kid named Haas. I forgot his first. Danny Haas. He didn't get to play much. He was a big boy.
Yeah.
And Russ went over there and told Haas, he said, you got to come off in pants for about 15 minutes so I can go to the umpire's meeting. So that was Curtis sending them 32s to
Oh,
Russ.
Haas, I remember him now. And then Curtis Borum was a pitcher on that baseball team. I remember his name.
he's a good
Hey, the thing about you following, going to Waffle House and staying so late, we was all just down there together and, didn't have nothing else to do. Because you follows just like it's dropped out of an airplane in the middle of nowhere.
Right.
Because it's like an hour and a half away from anything. Like you're talking about going to Dothan. It's an hour.
Yeah.
Carol Ozark, it's an hour and a half.
Columbus is out.
Yeah. It's over an hour any direction.
Hour from anything.
I remember
Anywhere.
the first time I ever went to
good
Eufaula,
number.
I thought to myself, when am I ever going to get here?
Yeah, well, you got to be going there to
Exactly,
get there.
yeah.
It's not like you can
Yeah.
just hop off interstate.
Yeah.
You got to be going right there to get there. What about hanging out with old ball coach? I think I know what this is.
Well, I didn't have it much. I coached baseball there and I coached football. So during the winter, I ran the concession stand for the basketball games. So I didn't have much to do when they have games, and I would go in and watch basketball practice. And I remember sitting up in the bleachers and every day, and I just watch. I mean, you got to remember Yusuf Ware, David Hill. I mean, Darian Brutley probably played somewhere during that time. All those guys played D1.
Yeah, he went to Southern Miss, Darian.
Yeah.
And then that was two D1 receivers.
Yeah,
Hill
Notre
and
Dame and
Yusuf.
Auburn receivers.
Auburn, Louisville.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, he went to Notre Dame.
No,
and then
went to Notre Dame
Louisville.
first?
Yeah, then he went to
Okay.
Louisville. So I just go watch practice because of the level of athletes that were there, and I would just sit and watch. And I was sitting there one day, and I was all by myself. I was sitting. The bleachers are pretty big. I would walk up about halfway, and a guy walked in to practice and kind of come over and sit next to me. I didn't pay much attention, and then he stuck his hand out. He said, "Steve Spurrier," and I said, "Well, Vaughn Lee," and he was like. There's some athletes out there, aren't there? And I said, yes, sir. He said, which one's Hill? And I pointed at him, and we watched him for about 5 minutes. And he's like, you know where Hill lives? And I said, yes, sir. And he said, you hungry? And I said, always. So he said, why don't you ride me around Eufaula and show me Eufaula? Well, we were expecting him to come. Rush was expecting him to come. I didn't know. So I was like, man, I bet Rush is going to be mad if I don't call him and tell him that Steve Spurrier's in his gym, But we didn't have cell phones. So there was no way to call him, and he's in a hurry to go get something to eat. So we went to Willie T's and ate, and then just rode around. I showed him all of Eufaula and all, and let David get home from basketball practice. And I was an Alabama fan. That was the time when they beat us in the SEC championship game in the year before. I think we beat them, Antonio Langham, and so it was almost like hanging out with the devil. But the more and more I hung out with him, he was an offensive genius. And I followed him for years, and I really respected him as a coach. And so we spent the day.
Yeah.
I pulled him up at Hill's house and parked, and he got out and went and talked to him for about 45 minutes, come back out. He said, I guess we better go find Coach Probst. So we go back to the school, and, of course, Rush is out there pacing, because he heard Spurrier had been there and he's gone. So he kind of pulls me over the side and said, what have I been doing? Where you been? I was like, I'm just doing what the ball coach tells me, Coach. He said, so we all piled up in Rush's office and gave him a pen, and he would draw up on the board all these different offensive philosophies and stuff. And
Yeah, but that spring was crazy, everybody that come around. Because I think Spurrier and Tuberville and the Notre Dame coach were all in there together at the same time.
Yeah. It was
That
the
spring.
Bowdens were at Auburn.
Yeah.
Terry and Tommy.
They
lived there. So we got ready to leave, and he just put his pen down. He looked at me and said, Coach Lee, I got to get my jet. My pilot's waiting on me. And Rush is like, I'll take you. He said, I like riding in Coach Lee's truck. So he got in my truck. We went off riding, and I was like, man, this has been an awesome day,
That's
to hang out with
that's
Steve
awesome,
Spurrier.
man. That's a great
Yeah, I
story.
can't believe you didn't take him to Hart's Chicken or LA's Barbecue.
Well, he did take me to the airport before we got on the plane and ordered steaks at the airport restaurant there, and it's
So y'all ate
legendary.
steaks together?
Yeah, legendary restaurant. I think University of Florida paid for it, so that was kind of
You've eaten
Little
on the
payback.
University of Florida's dime.
as a Bama fan.
Should have gotten two.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. That's a pretty good story.
Yeah, it is.
Right there. Hey, not sure if we have time. What's that about?
Nah,
You have any idea?
no, but filling your shoes, I had to. The first year I taught PE down there with crowd control Captain Epps over there, and so I learned a lot about how to teach PE.
never
But
gonna
then
forget that.
the next year, I had to go teach your history classes when you left. That was part of the deal. Is I was going to move to the high school and teach Alabama history all day. And the day before school started, the principal come to me and said, we had to add one class to your. I said, I thought I had Alabama history all day. And I've been teaching that. I taught that for 3 years at Pleasant Valley. So, well, you got one world history AP class.
Ooh.
And so I was like, all right. School starts tomorrow. And Russ has got practice and meetings and Waffle House meetings. And so, I'm going to get up real early and start reading chapter 1 to see what's going on and what we're going to learn tomorrow, So I go into class and I look in there and there's 32 APs, the smartest you fellas got, And Mary Tom Mann was in that class, Tom Mann's granddaughter, and Chad Volkert, whose dad was the accountant there in town, and they were all geniuses, and I'm sitting here teaching a class, and I just read the first chapter, and I'm sitting here trying to teach it, and I'm telling
Was Amber Wilson in there?
Nah. What about Peebo?
You talking about Peebo Bryson Callaway?
Peebo Bryson Callaway.
So we ended up
They have
going
an inside joke.
Yeah, we were outside of that joke.
So we ended up getting through that class in the first day, and I kept telling them about Louis the 14th, how great he was, and he built this great castle called Versailles. And I'm teaching.
Versailles.
And I've got a master's degree in history, okay, but I'd never learned any world history much. And what I did, I'd read and hadn't heard and paid attention to the pronunciation. So I've taught for 45 minutes about Versailles, tell them how great it was, and at the end, old Chad Volkert raised his hand. He said, "Coach, I think it's Versailles." And I said, "Well, if Chad Volkert says it, that's what we're going with. It's Versailles from now."
Versailles.
And you fell back in your chair, too, one Friday, didn't you?
Yeah, that's
Hit the floor.
yeah.
Well, how about that then? The Egyptians, they had pyramids. If it weren't for this book, I'd not know that.
Oh man. So, to kind of, I hate to even begin to say that we're running out of time, but we are. To even begin to wrap up, I want to know, David, this is a question for you. So y'all have known each other for 30 plus years. What's anytime you say Ken Bledsoe or Vaughn Lee, what's the first thing, story, memory that comes to mind?
Vibrator.
All right. Okay. We know that story, but go ahead and tell it.
We know that story now.
Go ahead and tell it.
We talking about
Let's get your perspective.
we talking about Davey.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yes, tell it. Tell it.
I think we told this on a triple threat, not a regular episode.
We did. We did.
Let's go ahead and tell
My
it now.
name's not in there.
No. Look, hey, okay. Now I got two. Let me run through these real quick. Most we told it on triple threat, but in the cloth room up here at the field house, I'd handed out jerseys to the varsity. I guess probably on Wednesday or Thursday. They're going to hand out football jerseys and went in the cloth room, and somebody snuck up behind me and threw. What do we call it on triple threat?
An item that vibrates.
Yeah.
Okay, an item that vibrates. Threw something in behind me in the.
Yeah.
And so when I got finished handing out jerseys, I just closed the door, and that thing, it's still sitting in the floor, just vibrating. And so you're doing a junior high. It's probably that day up there on the practice field that it was 110 or
110 degrees.
100. And you said, well, wish it was 110 over here. It's probably that day. Well, you come in to give the junior high their jerseys, and you open up the door, and it's just sitting there, and you kick it over in the corner. And I think it just runs over there until it just goes dead.
Yeah.
But then the other thing was when we dug up all the sprinklers up here.
Oh my God.
And, when we went, me and you put all the dirt back in and use that vibrator to pack it all back.
What?
Yeah.
Pack it all back down.
Wait. Are you serious?
Absolutely.
Yeah, we rented.
Absolutely.
Not that.
Oh, we talking about like a
Okay. Oh, you're talking about an actual
vibrating packer.
like a packer,
Yeah, a vibrating
dirt.
packer. Because we rented it.
Hey, everybody's got a hole.
Everybody's got a hole that needs to be filled.
We rented that vibrating packer, and the thing was heavy. You'd run it over and pack it. We did every one of those up there except one, the one behind the end zone. And Coach Ross comes up there and looks at it, and he said, "I'm worried about that by game one. I don't think that's going to settle." So we had to dig every one of them up
We did.
and redo them. Me and you. Yeah.
And we'll see. Here was his issue. His issue was that when we got it all back down, there was a little bitty There's a
Yeah.
hump right there. You know, where each one was.
Yeah.
And he said, that ain't going to work. And so I think we discussed between ourselves, well, it's going to settle.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know, it's going to settle down. It'll be fine. But Coach Gross, you know, he wouldn't have none of it. That's got to be redone and level. And so we get to season, and sure enough, every one of them has a little sunk in spot right there.
The one that we didn't redo or that we didn't do, it was too low. It sunk too low. We had to put
yeah that
on
was
that.
Yeah, sorry, you faked me out when you said you can't go from a vibrator story and then use the same word in another story but talk about a different machine. You
This is a family program.
You messed me up.
Hey, I got
supposedly.
Hey, you said we about done. Now we don't have to talk about none of these things, but I just want to run through this. Just let me just throw this out there. All right, Pleasant Valley. When you use Pleasant Valley, you come over to watch Bozeman. I remember you coming over to watch him in the gym.
Yep.
Paul Bears. Cliff can have his dwellers because Paul has his bears. Island Tour 95.
No, wait a minute. No. Here we go. The Island Tour. It was Cliff. What'd you say again?
Cliff has his dwellers. I put Cliff can have his dwellers because Paul has his bears. And it said Island Tour on the 95.
That's right. The Island Tour 95.
I still got that shirt.
Yep.
Cliff, what was that basketball coach at all?
Cliff Ellis.
Cliff Ellis.
Yeah.
And so
Cliff Bears.
They were called the Cliff Dwellers.
Bears.
That was
Cliff Dwellers.
The Cliff Dwellers was the student
section.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, right there.
And that's when y'all took off on that 20-game win streak.
Oh, yeah.
When me and Brownlee was there that night.
right.
That's when we got them shirts and everything. All right, tires got slashed at the field house. Approach Bronco. Remember when his tires got slashed after the game at night?
Yeah.
And
it was
oh,
Jeter's.
it was
Jones's.
It was Jones.
Jones's.
Two of his was done, but I got all four approached. All right, Ozark, Alabama went to see Lori Morgan, Leroy Parnell. You remember that?
Yeah.
Kim Folk come up to clean up. Heflin and T.R. Miller went to watch them in the state championship game. Me and you and Brownlee and DeBose rode over all the way across the state.
Jamie
back.
Riggs was coaching at TR at that time.
I remember that trip. Driver's ed car. We left Bull. When that night all that happened, we left him in Dothan. Right. Just went off and left him. Just left him.
Find a way. We gotta go.
We just left him.
Why?
In Dothan. He was taking too long. Docking. Remember the band Docking? That's who I went to see Docking with.
Okay.
Spinnakers.
He still got the ticket. He still got the ticket to that show.
Panama City. Docking at Spinnakers. Riverfest with Vaughn, Lee, and Chris Cagle. How many times we do that? We went from Old Hatchie all the way up again. About 3 times probably.
Yeah.
That's some good times.
Yep.
Mark McCrory blocking the punt in practice.
That was classic.
He blocked it, and Dubose told him, "Got you one, didn't you, big man?" Get it outside. This is a coach.
Well, look, I mean, all right. So Mark, so we got here. We have. I'm the head coach here, and I've got as assistants Vaughn Lee and Jamie Dubose. Assistants.
Yeah.
And then a fellow by the math teacher, Mark McCrory. Now
Professional water ski.
he was a professional water
Really?
ski dude.
Callaway, yeah.
Oh yeah, Callaway Guards. He was a real deal, you know. So what we did was we took, you know, we had a lot of kids out there playing and everything. Of course, in like most places, you know, we had about 25 to 30 who would play, and then we got another 20, 25 or so that
We're there.
we're there.
Yeah.
We RWs, eat, ride, and warm up guys.
Yeah.
Oh, I got to remember
So-
that. ERWs.
ERWs. All right, so
Pretty good.
It is.
the one thing about and Vaughn told me this. He said, "Now look, if I come to Eufaula, you got to promise me that it's not gonna be like it was at Pleasant Valley and Dennis Cook make me give everybody the same number of reps." He said, "I got these guys that ain't never gonna get in the game, and they getting all the same number of reps as my starting guys, and Coach Cook is insisting on that happening." I said, "It ain't gonna happen at Eufaula." And so to solve that, what we did was us three, me and Vaughn and Jamie Dubose, we practiced the first group, and we sent Mark McCrory to the back 40 with who we call McCrory's boys. And it was all these dudes. I'm talking about, you can imagine the stuff ain't on right, and they just like going down there. And so, of course, he didn't know anything about football. So Vaughn, yeah. So that's it. So Vaughn made him up some play cards, about 4 wing tee plays, and they got down there and they scrimmaged those 4 plays for the entire practice. I mean, they were
efficient.
They was there for 2 hours, all right? And so it was the best motivational thing I believe I've ever seen, because the kids that went down there hated it. They absolutely hated it, and they would be going down there. Please, coach, let us stay with you today, coach. I'm good enough to be with y'all. Come on, coach. I don't want to go down there. No. Go.
They knew trap, they knew belly, they knew buck.
I mean, and of course McCrory, he's down there, and of course they never could get it right. And so he's hollering at him, screaming, "The one hole! Go on the one hole!" That's Mark McCrory. So we had
McCrory didn't know what a one hole was.
1, 3, 5. Dang it!
Was it like, what Bear Bryant take them guys to?
Junction.
Was it like going to Junction?
It's about like going, down there. Okay, so about like Junction. So we was having our special team period, and so they all came back up for that. And so we're there and going through punt. We're punting everything. So McCrory, he's gonna put a little pressure on the punter. You know, he's gonna give him some, give him a look, so to speak.
Make his mark.
Yeah, he is. And so he like gets on the edge right there. And I mean, he's all broke down in his stance like that. And he's ready to go. So the ball gets snapped, and he takes off. And I mean, he goes in just like this. He doesn't lay out. I mean, he just like throws himself up like this, and the ball goes boom, and gets him right in the gut. And so he's over there like that and everything. And so we all looking at each other now, of course, and you're trying not to laugh because, it's a coach, everything in front of these kids, and, reputation type stuff. And so finally, he comes falling over there, and so Jamie Dupo says, "Got you one, didn't you?" Oh my God!
That Brownlee punt block, that's a good one there. You like a punt one, that there,
Yeah, I still use it.
God, I just wish we could have laughed. I mean, it would have been so good if we could have.
You didn't after Dubo said that?
I mean, I was still.
How did you not?
I mean, exactly.
God,
Grit your
Lee.
teeth, man. That's all you can do.
Lee, I'd have died.
Got you one. You still ain't good enough to move up here.
Go scrimmage.
Go scrimmage.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Hey, did you shoot that copperhead at the water down there with that shotgun?
Yes.
When we was cleaning off that?
Yeah.
Okay, I thought that was you. I couldn't remember.
All right.
Got that copperhead down there.
You want to do recommendations?
Yeah.
They don't have
Where
to.
y'all at now? Yeah, I told them to have one.
Oh, okay.
I don't think they know what it is. Hey, where are you at now? What school are you in Georgia?
I'm at Central in Carrollton.
Central High School in Carrollton.
I coach varsity baseball, and I'm the head middle school football coach at Central Middle School.
Okay.
So is that in the center or like the north or the south?
When you go,
I'm being
you know where
smart.
Bremen is?
I'm being smart.
I know where Bremen. Yeah.
Take a ride at
So-
Bremen, and you're in Carroll County, and everybody that's not in the Carrollton city limits is in Central, which they're all over Carroll County.
Yeah.
So most of them go to
So you're in a county system.
or county. Yeah, it's a
County.
good school system. Real
How
good
long
school
you been there?
system.
Left Alabama.
I was
left Heflin.
Yeah, I left Heflin. I retired, and then I got a call from Temple, Georgia. A guy that was originally in Alabama had called and asked me if I wanted to be the office coordinator there at Temple. So I took it and stayed there for 3 years. We had 2 real good years and then a bad year, and he retired. So Central called and asked if I wanted to come there. And originally I was going to be the passing game coordinator, but the middle school job come open, and the teaching job that goes with it is a great job. And I could stay at the high school and coach baseball. So I'm gonna probably do both one more year. Then I'll probably just go to the high school after next year. But good year.
You want to say?
What
You
I'm
wanna-
doing
Yeah,
now?
you want to say?
Well,
Or not?
is this recommendation time, or is this
Yes.
like what I'm doing now?
Either or.
All right. Well, I'm finishing up 23 years at Springville Middle School. I was head basketball coach here at Asheville And then in 2000 went to Springville Middle School and got back into coaching about 8 years ago, and did it for a little while. And so now I'm leaving St. Clair County, leaving Springville, and going back down around Andalusia, where I'm from, and going to be the head basketball coach at Pleasant Home. It's a 1A school, deep South Alabama. Has a great basketball tradition. Won 3 state championships and 21 state tournament appearances. Had a runner-up finish and things. And I'll be doing PE, be crowd control, once again.
Yeah.
And
All 40 kids.
yeah, well, we have about graduate classes runs about 40.
There you go.
And I am the basketball coach. I'm the varsity, JV, the 8th grade, and the 7th grade coach.
Wow.
Woo!
Doing all of them. So one thing about it, there won't be much dissension on the staff.
If there are, you're going to have a talk with your psychiatrist.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But I do have a
Recommendation.
Go for it.
Have a recommendation.
Start us
now.
off, and then we'll go around the table. We'll end with you.
Well, one place that that you can't beat for Mexican food, and that's Habaneros in Trussville, Alabama.
Yeah,
It is
really?
Absolutely.
Now, is that where y'all have been? You
No.
Has Carrie told me about that place? There's a Mexican joint in Trussville that she's talked about.
I don't know. I
There-
don't know if
there's-
that's it.
there's-
There's a couple.
There's
But
several there that people like and recommend, but I can just say, you just take my word for it. Habaneros is the best service, quality of the food, the people. I mean, they take care of everything. And so my dish of choice, and all I have to do is just walk in, and they'll say same thing, and I say same thing, and it is a chicken quesadilla, fajita chicken quesadilla, no peppers, no onions, and absolutely substitute the black beans for the refried beans. They have the best black beans I have ever had, and it is unbelievably good. Matter of fact,
going there tonight.
that's where I had lunch today.
Ah,
Had it for
close.
lunch. Chicken quesadilla dinner, no peppers, no onions,
Black beans.
black beans.
Like it.
Beans, man, that sounds good.
That's kind of how Wilson is at the local Mexican restaurant. He'll go in and say, "Sweet tea, yep. Hot sauce,
Sometimes-
yep.
Yeah, so they make a homemade, they call it picosa. They make a homemade hot sauce, and I'm a hot sauce guy. And it is, gosh, so good. It is the perfect taste. And what I do is I'll dip my chip in the picosa, and then I'll dip it in the queso. And it gives the cheese takes away some of the heat, so it doesn't bite as much.
So my
But
recommendation.
the chip adds smoky flavor. You know what? That might be my recommendation. Is that hot sauce from Mi Casita. So go ahead. I just don't go ahead.
That's okay.
Yeah.
My recommendation is Game 7. Okay, and that's kind of a
Of
broad
anything.
of anything because a lot of people, they don't like professional sports for one reason or another, and of course not everything goes into multiple games. But when you get into a Game 7 of baseball or basketball or hockey, that's some of the best of that sport you'll see because it's win or go home, and especially hockey. And I'm not a hockey guy, but those guys, man, they will slap each other so daggum hard.
If they're willing to go sit in timeout, yeah.
Well, I mean, whatever it takes. But we watched Game 7 last night of the Heat and the Celtics, and it wasn't quite what it was. But I think the Celtics just didn't have anything left in the tank after trying to make a run to get to that point.
When Tatum
but,
got hurt.
Yeah, and then Tatum got hurt.
Ankle.
But now Game 7. If you get a chance to watch a Game 7, even if you're not a fan, watch it because those guys going 100%.
Yeah, you're right about that. I'll even watch a Game 7 baseball game.
Yeah, and I don't watch
Series.
baseball.
Yeah, and I don't watch.
Me
I don't
either.
watch the MLB. I watch college baseball. I won't watch the MLB, but I watch Game 7 of the World Series.
I watch Game 7.
Yeah.
That's good right there.
That. Thank you, Coach. That is my recommendation. I'm going to recommend hot sauce and queso. Go.
All right, the song "Somewhere in the Vicinity of the Heart" by Allison Krauss and Shenandoah. I know y'all all like that.
Allison Krauss and Shenandoah had a song together.
Yeah, I know you like that Allison Krauss and
I love Shenandoah.
Brad Paisley song. What's the one they do together?
It's that one they do together. What's the name of this one?
It's called "Somewhere in the Vicinity of the Heart." I think it's better than the one everybody likes so much that she does with Brad Paisley. Whiskey Lullaby.
Whiskey Lullaby. That's
Well,
it,
I think this is a lot better than Whiskey Lullaby. I like it a lot better. Allison Krauss and Shenandoah, "Somewhere in the Vicinity of the Heart."
That's it. That's it. Is that it?
Yeah, I know.
Oh.
I know it's my recommendation.
I don't know if you'd ever heard it before.
Have you heard it?
No.
Well, I
love me some Shenandoah.
I'd rather
Two
listen
Dozen
to that.
Roses, baby.
Or Bellamy Brothers, Redneck Girl. That's a good one too. We listen to the heck
Hey,
out
she's
of
got
that,
the-
didn't
she's
we?
got her name on the
Some
back of her
like
belt.
baseball. Yeah.
So y'all's artist was the Bellamy Brothers, and your and John Gross's artist was
Billy Ocean.
Billy Ocean.
Yeah,
I must
Billy
say
Ocean.
Frank Ocean.
Yeah,
Frank Ocean.
Billy Ocean. Yeah,
Frank Ocean.
listen to the heck out of that and that yellow Grand Prix or whatever it was.
Pricks.
Grand Prix, whatever. Yeah, it was Buick Regal, whatever that thing was.
On your way to football
Yeah,
practice
football
over here
practice,
at
Billy
Midland.
Ocean every day.
Man, good times. All right, Coach.
All right. Past 25, 26 years, I've lived in Heflin, Alabama. As soon as you get off the interstate there on exit 199, there's a big restaurant to your right called Damn Yankees.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of the better restaurants in the state. People drive from
Really?
all over to that place. And,
Really?
the chef is unbelievable. The food's great. And,
What do you recommend there?
oh, man.
Or what do you get?
I've never had anything bad there. It's really just,
So you don't have a regular, you just kind of rotate on what you get when you go?
yeah, just go in and just pick it off the list, and it's going to be good. They also have on exit 205, it's called Sweet Southern Market. There's another restaurant there in Heflin. Well kept secret.
Really?
Yes.
Sweet Southern
See,
Market.
Sweet
there's
Southern
a
Market.
there's a Cajun restaurant in Lincoln that he took me to.
Oh,
one
Crossroads. Rick's Crossroads.
day. Rick's Crossroads.
Yeah.
That is
Yep.
amazing.
Mom
and it's,
Pop
and
still
it's,
up over there?
No, they shut down.
it sits
Used
up
to
on
be.
this hill, like you go, like on your way to Talladega, on the way to the racetrack.
Hey, get this. It's at the crossroads
Yeah.
Yeah, believe it or not,
of 77 and 78.
it is really stinking good. And I'm a big Cajun.
You might run into Steve Vai
Sorry,
right
that
there.
was the
You
perfect
might.
wow. That was wow. That was, you've never been, right?
I ain't never been nowhere.
Been to you follow, though.
You've been in Eufaula for
Like
sure.
dropped out of an airplane down there.
Old Mexico.
Parachuted in, man.
Old Mexico and Eufaula, Alabama. You've been there a few times.
Yeah, old Mexico. Yeah,
Was that in downtown?
yeah, right there at the intersection.
I've been to that restaurant. I've been to that Mexican joint.
That's the best. That town has more good restaurants than any town I've ever been lived in.
It was a
The
good
Creek,
restaurant.
is that the one out there? Is it still open?
No, it's not there anymore.
Is it not anymore?
It's not. It's not. It's,
There's people drive for a long way to go eat there too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you know, I don't know if anybody from Spring was going to be watching this, but I'll say this. They're talking about, you know, and they'll get it, but we don't have time to go in there. But back in Eufaula, they have great restaurants. Great. Back in Eufaula.
Back in Eufaula.
Hey
No
man, that's
doubt.
that's the most fun coaching I ever had. I don't know if it was for y'all, but that's the most fun I ever
I
had.
learned from Rush. Like, I went into it with a professional standpoint as I want to learn as much as I can while I'm here from him. And I catch myself a lot. Like, he was on the cutting edge of a lot of things. You know, we had Tommy and Terry Bowden all the time in there. Steve Spurrier, you know, we were constantly learning the cutting edge.
Mark
and,
Rick.
you know, we'd go fishing a lot and
Yeah.
things like that. And so we'd talk football. And I took a lot what I learned from him and into my future jobs. And he was one of the guys, you know, that kind of was influential to me. And I was an offense coordinator for a quarter of a century after I left there. And, you know.
Well, I'm gonna say something about Vaughn Lee and football. It is one of the greatest tragedies in this state's history of high school football that Vaughn Lee was never a head football coach. And
I was going to ask that.
It is. I mean, it is. You know, and I have never of all the coaches I've been associated with, you know, Hall of Fame coaches, future Hall of Fame coaches, people that should be Hall of Fame coaches but never will. I have never worked with or been associated with a coach the caliber of Vaughn Lee. I mean, he is absolutely. And I've been a lot of places and seen a lot of things and been around a lot of coaches, but he is the best I've ever seen, been around, been associated with. And
You know,
that
part of the reason I didn't become a head football coach is because I loved baseball and I didn't want to let it go. And so I was a head baseball coach for 20-plus years, and that was kind of my head coaching half of my year, and then being the offense coordinator was my football. So, you know, I'm at peace with it. I'm the head football coach at Central Middle School, which is probably a bigger operation than
Right.
a lot of 1 and 2A schools around here. It is.
Yeah.
When we have 3 teams, we have 2-hour weight training classes with one grade in there at a time. I mean, it's a first class. We went 7-1 last year. Lost the championship. The championship game is online. It's at West Georgia University. I mean, it is a football's big there, and I'm kind of getting my head football out of my system now.
You scratching that itch.
Yeah.
Well,
I want to hold a trophy up my last game. And we got beat in the state finals when I was at Cleveland County, and I always thought I'd get another shot at it, and I never did. So the next best thing is to win one at this Central Middle School football league that they have, and I want to hold the trophy up for the last game one time.
Well, a lot of these coaches that I've studied and followed and stuff like that, they'll say, when they were assistants, they became the head coach of whatever they were doing, whether it was coaching receivers or if they were the laundry guy or whatever. Do any job that you have like you were the head coach of that, and that's your program, and that's the way you do it. So that's a good way to. That's a good perspective to have on that, with coaching.
I was the head coach of that laundry room. People kept throwing stuff in on me, though.
You beat the Comer King Combs.
Yeah.
Don't forget that.
Hey, was
I'll be
Tyrone
honest,
Pro was he at? Were you there when he was there? Same.
Yeah, he
Pro
was.
Pro.
When I was at Trussville, I could have stayed there. I mean, I really liked Trussville. I love Jack Wood, and I really felt good about being there. But when Cleveland County interviewed me, I turned it down the first time, and they said, "We need you to come back. We want you to see something." So I went back, and they took me down to the rec, and Tyrone and Todd Bates and all those guys were down there playing basketball down in the little rec courts down there, and I sit and watch them. Then they took me over to the baseball field to watch the rec games, and it was like, this is a gold mine about to bust wide open. We'd been getting to football, had a little bit of a slip there, and they hired a new coach, and that guy was bringing me in to
Who was that guy?
Michael Short. Michael Short was
we know Coach Short real well.
So
Yeah.
Coach Short hired me, and coming in, like Tyrone was an 8th grader, and Todd was a 9th grader, and then, I mean, we had Rocky Hayes down the road, and we had good talent, but we were some mentally tough, hard-nosed kids, and in baseball we just took that and moved it to baseball, and they weren't very good in baseball when I got there, but I mean I think we made the playoffs 14 years in a row at one point.
Wow.
In our 20 years, and we were in the quarterfinals 3 times, and we turned it into a top 10 program, I felt like, over the time. So
Bates at Oklahoma now. Right?
Yeah, Bates is a DC at Oklahoma, and I saw Tyrone is at Jasper maybe.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
I think that's what Coach Short told us last time we talked to him.
So that's why you win.
Yeah, when I saw them, I was
Pro
like,
Bates.
okay, where do I sign up? We went 2-8 the first year, 6-5 second year, and undefeated the next year, and went to the finals the year after that.
Always hard nosed over there anyway.
Yeah, had some hard-nosed kids, and Coach Short kind of gave me the keys. Said, "Look, I'm a defensive guy. I want you to do what you want to do on offense." And I called every play for 20 years and never questioned anything we did on offense.
When did you retire from over there?
18. The last 2 years we were in 5A, and it was pretty bad. We were in there with Sylacauga and Beauregard and Clay Central, and we weren't a 5A program, but we were put in 5A for 2 years. So the last 2
we know
years
something
we
about
were,
that.
Yeah, we do.
That was tough.
Man, those Cleveland County, Alexandria game back in the 90s and stuff. You're talking about hard nose.
Yeah. We knew we
That's
had
some wars right there.
arrived when Todd and Tyrone, we beat them. The first year we went and beat them physically. I mean, pounded them and made explosive plays and all the above. We just dominated them, and we knew then, we've done it, because if you do this to Alexandria, and we owned them for several years after that because we knew we had arrived.
It's nice when you see that litmus test, and you're like, if we can beat or pass the litmus test, we've made it.
Yep.
And you can build off that success, and it's nice to finally get past that.
I remember looking. I was in the press box, and we kicked a field goal to go up by 10 with about 4 minutes to go. And I remember looking out in the road, and all the Alexander cars leaving with the brake lights on, and they were all climbing the hill and on the cars and stuff. And I was like, we did it, Yeah. Their fans are leaving, and we've done it. So we had a good stretch.
I just got
good
chills.
long run.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And being on the sideline, you can only imagine what the headset was like. Look at all them fools leaving. We done it, boys.
Yeah.
It was,
Well, guys, thank y'all for coming in. This has been
Yeah,
awesome.
we appreciate it.
I've enjoyed it as a, the coaching part of me has enjoyed it, but just the person, just the normal person part of me has enjoyed the storytelling, because it's obvious that you three guys have made a lot of memories together, and it's always so nice to see, guys that have made memories together, because I think we're kind of in the middle of that right now, in the trenches, so to speak.
But memories together, even though. When's the last time y'all actually worked together? I mean, obviously the three of you for a while, but when's the last time
I
y'all
don't think
actually
I've
worked
seen
together?
David Murphree since 1995.
95. That's what I was thinking. 95,
Yeah.
96.
Wow.
I come over to your cabin, brought lunch over when you was coaching. You supposed to be coaching against Dubose in baseball. We got rain. That's probably the last time.
Yeah, we saw each other maybe once or
Or
twice.
maybe at Riverfest.
Yeah, we was
95.
95 was last year we were all together.
Yeah.
27 years ago.
And
Yeah.
then
Yeah, but you fall stuff. I remember it like it was yesterday. I had a great group of people
Man.
down there, and most fun I ever had.
You could write a
We-
book.
and we didn't hardly mention Hammond Brownlee.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the whole show.
Yeah, we'll have to come back and talk about Brownlee.
Yeah, seriously, guys, we got to have y'all back. But we've enjoyed it, guys. Thank you so much. Don't forget to subscribe on Lens Plus if you're
Heavy
listening on
B.
Apple Podcast. I just misspoke. Apple Podcast.
You say apple pie?
I did not say apple
I
pie.
thought you said
I did
apple
not
pie.
say that. We're gonna have to bleep that out. We're gonna have to get Aaron or Jake on that. Anyway, Apple Podcasts or Spotify. If you want to tune in to all of our social media, we're on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, all that good stuff. Go ahead and subscribe. We're also on YouTube. You can watch this podcast on Spotify and YouTube as well. Thank you to our guests, Vaughn, Lee, Ken, Bledsoe, guys. We appreciate y'all coming in.
Great
Couch
sound
change.
Couch change. Don't forget
They're
to
the
subscribe.
same
All that good
stuff.
stuff.
You're
Don't forget you can talk or
Go home.
The one you said earlier today, the all fogged up.
You listen to all fogged up.
Yeah.
Did she say it or did she not?
Yeah.
She said the F word.
I think she said. I flat out think she said.
She said fogged,
Yeah.
but it sounded like.
Yeah. There was one more. Murphy pissing red.